So this time I got my tape out.
Yeah, but what if you don't get no good stuff?
I know. I might not.
Now you out of good
stuff.
stuff.
Now I'm out of good stuff, right?
Jackass.
Like, no, but you know that's exactly what happens, right?
Your whole face.
That's exactly what happened.
Nah.
Now that I'm on tape, all of my thing is gone, right?
Yeah, the devil part.
Okay.
The devil inside you.
See,
okay, go ahead.
My understanding is that when people talk about evil or the devil, they think it's like somebody that's outside of them. It's the same thing like when they talk about God or Jesus. They think it's somebody that's outside of them. Mm-hmm. And what happens with the like evil or devil is that it's the heat in your body. Your nether parts, which would be like your sexual part, which we think as carnal, which we think as sinful. So it would be that part that you're looking to go up the spine. So it's still travel. You're still traveling up your body. So it's always like as above, so below. So you're talking about like that whole when you're having sex, right? So the whole sexual energy rising up. Mm. So as the physical body has all the elements. You're talking about fire. So like when like he talks about the book of Revelation, the book of Revelation talks in those terms of like, you know, fire rising up and the devil doing this. So, but you need to bring the devil up to heaven. And the devil that you need to bring up to heaven is that energy, and heaven is your brain. So you're still talking about traveling from your sexual organs to all of your systems, up your spine, up to your brain, and then out. So, but people has dwindling it down to this person that's outside of your body, not understanding that the devil is you.
It's part of you.
Yeah, it's you. We're talking about your carnal region, which would be like your so like if you're
just saying the devil is just
the devil is
part of your body.
That part of your body, that lower part of your body, you know. And don't forget, like so it usually associated like with red. So like in the book of Revelation, they're talking about passion, which is associated with the red color red. They're talking about you know, this woman, you know, a snake, all that kind of stuff. So you're still talking about fire. So the feeling of it is really searing hot. Mm-hmm. You know, so fire, and then going up your spine, you know, and so inside of your body, you're gonna find fire, water, air, you know, and of course earth. And so all of that get mixed up and then goes up the spine. But again, everybody's thinking, you know, hell like somebody else, it's the devil, it's this like green monster that's outside that they're gonna be faced with, not realizing they're gonna be faced with themselves, their nasty thoughts. So a lot of times, like, you know, when you have a nasty dream, mm-hmm. if you have a nasty thought, mm-hmm. those things are that devil that we're talking about, not just somebody that's bad or outside of you that you think you're gonna beat up with Jesus. Mm-hmm. No. You need to face yourself. Mm-hmm. You know? And so any carnal desire, you have to face it. You have to be like, yes, I feel this way. And you understand why. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fears. It's a lot of like, you know, guilt. Guilt is the big one. Like if you feel guilty about feeling a certain way. So imagine that's like true. You never acted on it, but then you feel guilty about feeling a certain way. That's true. So So you're afraid to face yourself. And that's so imagine these people, they're thinking they're gonna be facing someone else when it's you.
That's a big difference.
That's a huge difference.
That's why everybody
they're gonna be like
that's
surprised.
Why you're so lost.
Yeah, you're gonna be surprised.
That's a total parallel to like you.
Because you're waiting for that monster.
You're waiting for that monster.
We're waiting for that monster, but the monster is you. You know?
But which is worse now, though?
I think facing yourself as a monster is worse.
It's worse.
Because you're not gonna accept it. You know, most of the time people are not gonna accept.
How do you?
Like they don't accept it because they
First
still.
You have to accept that.
You have to accept that part of yourself that's this horrible person that thinks this way. You know, like, if you have a nasty thought about your I don't know, your child, or you know what I mean, or a child, whatever, and then you're gonna like be like, oh no, you know, no, like, and then you're just gonna block it out. So a lot of people just
supposed to do. You're supposed to just.
But you're supposed to recognize. My thing is like you're supposed to recognize yourself in like.
So in that part, I'm supposed to say it's just a thought. Why am I supposed to say to myself? It's just the devil in me. That's just. What are you supposed to? What are you supposed to do in that?
I'm thinking that you're supposed to recognize yourself. You know, and understand like, okay, well, why would you be having these thoughts?
Okay.
You know, and then respecting that you're having these thoughts, you know, and not hide for like I think most people they deny it completely, and so they never faced it at all. But if you face it, then it's not an enemy. You know what I mean? If you face it, then you can move on from there because you could be like, okay, that's just a momentary lapse instead of like totally blocking it. Then it becomes because once you block something, then it becomes like a bigger monster than it needed to be in the first place. You know, so that's all it is. But if you deny this whole part of yourself, then forget it. And that's what I'm saying. It's like we always trying to be like this good person because you think that's what everybody wants you to be or that's what you should be, instead of like saying, okay, this is who I am. You know, so like if you do something bad, recognizing it and then move on. So that you're able to move on. And then like the key, forgive yourself. Like, you know, like it's like, oh bon Dieu pardonne. But it's like you never don't ask God to forgive yourself. Ask yourself to forgive yourself. It's like because that's the real thing. Like, you know, that's one of the things like it's like you giving power to somebody else and it's you who needs to take responsibility. So you're scared of the devil, and then that devil that you're scared of doesn't exist because the real devil is you. You know, and that's what he talks about. You know, and that's the key. But we see those people in the Bible as being real instead of like understanding that these are all the people that are inside of us. They're all aspects of us, like of who you are, and not somebody like. And that's the key, like not somebody outside of you. Face your devil, forgive yourself, and then move on. Instead of feeling guilty and then you beat yourself up, your heart always feel heavy because you never because you're hiding from yourself. And guess what? That thing does become alive. It has its own like energy that it feeds. Because then that's when you would start hearing voices. That's still you talking to yourself. Because those whispers are still that person that's locked behind the door. Is gonna grow bigger and it's gonna become like this thing that can, at one point take control of you because you never took control of it. And and that's why he talks about like where you have to take it, like you have to bring everything back to yourself instead of like on the outside.
Okay, but I do my prayer when I'm like praying now. I don't say God, I say my maker. What about that? That's still giving power to somebody else? Like whenever I'm just, talking out loud.
You can talk about the all. I think the name that we had
is still...
My maker is like I think you're still trying to say like somebody else created you instead of you being part of creation. The thing is like you are part of creation. Mm-hmm. Like creation is not separate from you. There's the idea that creation is bigger than us. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that creation is not bigger than us, mm-hmm. but we are still part of creation. So the primordial waters is not it's not something that's out there somewhere else. It's still inside of you. So therefore, you're part of creation. If you're saying my maker, what I'm trying to say is like you still have to bring yourself into the picture where you're part of it and not separate from godhood. And that's the connection, like I think is a little bit hard at first. It was even hard for me at first to get, where it was like how that you're not separate from God. So if you're the son of God, because the whole idea of Trinity is that the Trinity is still one. The Trinity, that I think a lot of times when people do the cross, they separate the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Well, that Holy Spirit, first of all, is the woman part that they're talking about. They call it Holy Spirit, but the Holy Spirit part of it is the female principle. But if you're talking about Trinity, you're still talking different aspect of the God, meaning the God as the Father, the God as the Son, and then the God as the Holy Spirit, not like three different people. Mm-hmm. And I think the religion makes it three different people, so they'll see like God as one person and Jesus as one person and the Holy Spirit as something else, not even someone else. Mm-hmm. So what I'm trying to say is like it should be like it's a different, like it would be like as a child you're a baby, you're a young child, you're a young person, and you're an older adult. So that's Trinity. You're still one person, but you've been through these different phases of your life, mm-hmm. So it would be the same thing, like to connect the fact that you're part of creation with so therefore when you talk about the creator, that's still you.
So what the hell do I pray to?
You can pray to the all. You're so programmed. Yeah.
You're so programmed to,
But you can pray to the all. The all is like, so my thing is like I don't pray to anybody. That's one. You can, and I hear a lot of people say prayer is powerful. Prayer is powerful until you understand that you're even bigger than prayer, because every word of mine is a prayer. Because like once you realize the power that you have, then everything that you say, like the same idea when you say, okay, when you start thinking things and then all of a sudden it happens. Once you realize it, then you'll start to see it more, So therefore it's like, what now I see, I need to like more, say to my thoughts, like when I have thoughts, when I have ideas, when I have, to make sure that it's something like solid and something that I'm serious about, instead of like, jumping from one thing to the other. That's the only thing I've been finding. It's like to make my thoughts more of a solid thing, so that when it becomes reality, it's like a perfect form child. Because you think your thoughts are not something that becomes reality, sometimes they become malformed children. Those are those bad ideas, because they're malformed because you never sat down and think about it, thought, be like, okay, this is what I want. Then you think about, okay, you know what, I want this phone, but I want this phone. And then all of a sudden, then you'll have this phone. Because in the past, I realized, like, a lot of times when I say I want something, it happens. And then it may not happen like boom tomorrow, but in 6 months, in a year, and then I work toward it, but it happens, it becomes to fruition. But before I would just think, it's something that happens when I work hard. But now I realize, no, the first thing that happened is like I had the idea, and then all of a sudden it worked out, and then it happened. But the first thing that happened was the idea. So you want that perfect form idea. you know. And all of these are your children. Not just like, you know, children that you birth, but different ideas you have, good or bad, you know. And that's why they can become like solid things, you know, and how they're going to manifest in different ways. Understanding this, like the chakras, basically, the connection to the chakras, and traveling those different systems and how they connected and to the book of Revelation, you know, because he talks about like how the book of Revelation, if somebody who reads it, is very scary, because the God in the book of Revelation is a very mean God, is a very vengeful God. And that's one of the things, like if you hear a lot of the, you know, people talking, and it's like, God, you know, don't want you, God is a jealous God, you know, and in the book of Revelation it is, you know, but a lot of the meanings are hidden. For you to do the traveling, it's painful. And he talks about it being painful for like you, if you take the devil and bring it up to your brain, it can hurt for like an hour or two. Because you're talking about taking the hot, searing fire from your loins up to the spine, to your brain. But that liquid is so powerful, it will heal. That's the real story of Abraham going up the mountain. You know, he's going up the mountain symbolically because he's taking the Kundalini, you know, from the base of the mountain, which would be the base of your spine, up to your spinal column, to your brain, right? So he's going up to the mountain. So the symbol of the ram, which directly form, like if you see the ram, like it's the stick and the two horns directly form the shape of your spinal cord and your brain, you know. And so you're connecting. But the story just tells you, seeing like the picture in your head is seeing of a man stopping from killing his son. If you think of what happens with Abraham in the mountain, but it's supposed to be, because even the word Abraham means something else, and the word ram is God and son at the same time. Like, so understanding like a lot of the words are symbols, not just the words in itself. So a lot of times when we look at the symbol, when we look at the ram, we see the animal, not the spinal column and the brain. So what you're supposed to be doing is looking at the symbols, not the story, you know, and understanding like how it connects to your body, therefore connecting to your spirit. Yeah. And that's what he talks about. And not worshiping somebody else, but getting your power to heal yourself. You know? And it's crazy. It's like, so you have all these people out there worshiping this Bible and have no idea what it means. It's like, because it totally means something different from what they've been taught.
It's so different.
It's so different. It's not even close.
You can never, it's so hard to everybody to achieve.
I don't think it's hard for everybody to achieve, especially like
once you believe that, and and it's been passed down from
generation to generation,
from family members to this and that. It's like, it's worse than brainwash. I don't know.
I mean, it's total brainwash, and it sucks because the lack of education, the lack of knowledge will of course keep you on this planet. It will keep you on this planet forever, because you'll never get the fact that, hey, wait a minute, this is a ship. Like, your body's like a ship, and that's what you're supposed to be using it for, not, whatever the hell we're doing here. It's like,
it's like the Matrix.
It's like it's worse. Like it's the Matrix. Nothing is real.
A lot of people, it's the Matrix. A lot of people's like, I like the Matrix.
Yeah.
A lot of people is like, I like the Matrix. They're gonna stay in the
They're
Matrix.
gonna stay in the Matrix.
No matter what.
But the thing about staying in the Matrix, you're gonna have lifetime after lifetime after lifetime in the Matrix. That's the understanding. If you don't learn to get out, because, and that's the backlog, I think. You know, if you're talking about backlog in energy, backlog in like, because you have all of these people not understanding, hey, you're not supposed to be staying here. You're supposed to learn your lesson. Planet Earth, yes, I'm here. I learned my lesson. I learned love. I learned how to create. And then I'm out. On to the next thing. Because guess what? You have a whole universe to explore. Right?
Nobody. White. I don't know. Not white.
You going back to white people? Back to white people.
Yes, the other entities.
What are you talking about? Like
entities that, I don't know, they block.
Yeah.
They block a lot of people from that, you know? I don't like.
So. My thing is this. Okay, not so much my thing, but the conversation can go to say, okay, if you're ready, if you're one person that's able to get the knowledge, right? And of course, you're gonna bring 10 people with you. It will be like the same thing. It's like you're gonna bring certain people with you, you know, because you got the knowledge. You're gonna let somebody else know, and that's how we would get out, you know, like, you know, because like let's put it this way, like when I had my experience, it's like you get the knowledge, but it's not a immediate thing. I feel it's like you have to understand it as well, you know, where it was like, oh, what do you mean in out? I don't get in out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like in out. Like, what do you mean? It takes a while. Like, it was like, what do you mean? Earth, fire, you know, earth, fire, air. Like, you know, and then T was like, so it's, how do you get the 4 elements? Earth, fire, air, missing one. Water. Earth, fire, air, water, T. Earth, fire, air, water, T. Earth, fire, and then it goes into a circle. Earth, fire, you know, so like it's showing me you're one. So like when you're, if I'm sitting here is still me. And here is still me. So pointing under
planet, they teach you that. Like, yeah, those it's not
separate. Like, so but when we are living our lives, we're like, you know, you're walking around and you're thinking, oh, I'm separate from the air that I'm breathing. And that's why, you know, like when you saw me and I was like, you know, hey, I'm gonna show you how to eat air. And you're like, Wishby's crazy. And I'm like, no, because that's what we do. We eat ourselves. You know what I mean? So you're on something and you're eating yourself. So whatever experience you think you're having, you're still eating yourself. So it's like, so that whole thing of saying, okay, we're one, that's where it will be like, okay. But but I don't know if like my understanding, because that's the thing. It's like, you know, once you get the knowledge, understanding is a different thing from the knowledge. Like, knowledge is, okay, here's the information, you just know it already. Okay. But once your brain gets hold of it, your brain wants to decode and, like, you know, fit it into different categories of what it already knows. That was some of the things that were, to me, that were confusing in getting the knowledge. It's like, okay, here's all this information, but can you decipher it? Like, cool. Once your brain wake up, will you be able to decipher it? And that has happened slowly. Some of it is like, okay, that I understand, but some of it is like, you know, when you know, like, if you hear Brother Freeman speak, if you hear like all the different people, like other teachers out there who have some of the knowledge, you know, then you'll be like, oh, okay, again, I understood that because that was revealed to me. I understood that because that was revealed to me. My main point was in out, Whatever's going on the outside is going on the inside. So whenever you see something going on, you need to bring it back in so you can understand it from your perspective, from what does it matter to you. So in, out, which would be like, okay, as above, so below. It's on several levels. On the sexual level, you see it. You know, if you're having a penis into a vagina, in, out. Like because there's different symbols of it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? In, out, your mouth, food. Breathe in, breathe out. Like so it's just, all of that is to teach you the in, out. Not just like physical things happening, but understanding like, you know, what you're taking in, you giving out. In the knowledge, I think you get more of like the general stuff that matters. Mm-hmm. And even though like we do it and we don't think it's important, those are like very important things.
So what's your next step? What's your...
More knowledge.
Just more knowledge. That's
more knowledge. And trying to see what I can get through meditation. Mm-hmm. You know, he talks about meditation, and meditation helps with deciphering the knowledge, getting more knowledge, understanding yourself, you know. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that's one of the things with meditation that, you know, I've been able to get. It's like sometimes like after meditating, all of a sudden like a lot of things are clear. To me, the knowledge is so fantastical, it's so like a lot that it's so much. Yeah. It's overwhelming. So you just want to like, you know, because there was a point where I was like, okay, excited.
It happens to everybody when they open their third eye. You think that happens?
I don't know.
That happens to everybody.
Because you know what I thought? I thought once you open your third eye, maybe like you see, like, you know, in the Matrix when Neo is able to see like all the codes, lines, all the lines. Yeah. I thought I'd be able to see like that.
No, nigga.
No.
But it's true. It sounds like that's how it should be like.
Yeah, it's like, okay, am I gonna be able to like see?
Nah.
Yeah, no. It's more, sometimes it's impressions. Sometimes it's just like, you know, you just, all of a sudden things click more. Like I'll see one thing and then other things will come into mind and they will line up. Like the car's driving in the highway. I'm like, oh, that's ants. You know, that's like a line of ants. It's the same behavior. If I'm the higher soul, that's how I would see the planet. As like at different levels of, so if you see an onion, there's different skins on the onion, and you can peel each one. So I'm able to see things in layers, or because it will just spring into my mind. That's more what I get, instead of like saying, oh yeah, I'm able to see you, or like, you know, you aura. This is what I trust more. A lot of times before, I used to trust it a little bit. Like when I start talking to somebody and all of a sudden I will want to say things to them. Now, I mean, before I used to do it, it was fine. And I could feel that calling, you know. But now when I do it, I know exactly what it is. Like if somebody comes in front of me, you know, sometimes I'll just feel like, hey, you know, they're there for a reason. They're looking for something from me. And then I'll start talking, and I'll let myself talk so that they can hear like whatever they need to hear. I let it go more instead, because sometimes before, like, you know, I would stop myself, or I'll be like, yeah. But you know, then I'll be like, okay, you know what? Sometimes like people come to you for different reasons. They may not even know like why they're there, and then you may not even know why they're there. The reason why I trust it is because so much times, like, the person has come back to me and be like, thank you for this, thank you for that. And then sometimes I don't even know why, like what I did for them, or like, you know, and that happens so many times that it's not a coincidence. Like, because at school, like everywhere, you have to own up to like your gifts in like, I don't know, like sometimes you have gifts, but you don't know like what it is. You don't know what it is. And so like, and then you could think, oh, you know, I have to be like a doctor, I have to be a lawyer to be successful and stuff like that.
But you really have to look.
But then you really have to look at, yeah.
Really.
And so I've learned that, you know, one of my gifts is like talking to people. In that I help them. And it could be like just information. It could be like something straightforward or whatever. And so I find that That is a gift. Not just like, okay, you know, I'm just doing my job or whatever. So I look at it as, yeah, it's a gift that I can give to people. And of course it comes back to me, you know, because once you give, you'll receive in some other ways. I've been like, really like, okay, yes, this is something that's real. And this is something that, you know, I'm like thankful for. And I'm just like, okay, and then I do. So whenever that happens, I do it, and I do it consciously now. Like I do it like on purpose. A taker of people. That's what I call myself. Like I take care of people. And at one point you don't know. Like you don't know. Because at a point you think you do stuff and it's like it's nothing. You know, and this is how I am, this is what I do. But then you realize, no, this is what you are and this is what you do. And it's not insignificant, you know. And that's what I mean. And then I'm learning to like appreciate that part of myself instead of just thinking, oh, okay, this is just a job or this is like nothing, you know, because a lot of times, you know, I told myself, oh yeah, it's not, because sometimes people come to me and I'll be like, oh yeah, it's nothing, you know, whatever. But then I realize more and more, it's not nothing, you know, this is part of your mission. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, this is part of my mission. Going back to the black and white, I think there is an aspect of conscious African American community, which is two races.
Yeah, two races.
They're two races. Because it's the opposite of what we're fighting for. And if you're opposite, it's the same thing.
Okay. What do you mean they're racist?
Because
how can go ahead.
What I mean is, like, you know, that whole idea of black being the superior race. You know, I'm not saying we not the superior race, but the thinking that you're superior race means that there's somebody lower than you. And if somebody's lower than you, then you could say, okay, they're not as deserving as me. Then you could say, you know, I'm more special than them. You understand that whole part of like saying I'm more special. You know, so that's.
But okay, I think that one, I don't know. Maybe that's their way of doing it, because I think the real way, who's gonna take that in? Like, you know, white people, how are they gonna take that in if they hate you, and if they will always combat it anyway? If they say, no, we already have it, you know, whenever you tell white people you have this is what you think, they're gonna say, no, this is what it is because we have facts. But think of
the planet. First of all, think of the planet.
How are you going to convince
We
them?
are not a minority.
Yeah.
Black people are not a minority on the planet. Black people may be a minority in the United States, but black people are not a minority in the planet. You know, at first I used to discount that whole argument because you're thinking, you know, you live in the United States and you're thinking, oh, you know, the United States is like the majority of the people are white, so what they have the power. But if you think about the world, the majority of the world is not white.
Yeah.
You know, so when they fear not like they losing their race, I think they're right, because if you have a white person and have a black person, you have children, you come out with a black child. And there is the argument that what they're trying to do with mixing of the races is to like strengthen their race. I mean, I've heard the arguments, so don't get me wrong, I've heard them, so I know them. I know the arguments. And I'm just saying to be careful of being do I think that? What I've learned about knowledge is to just learn.
Okay.
Just learn. Because who am I to say this is the correct one, or the, you know, what's truth and what's not? But I'm not gonna take it as like a Bible, like most people love to do. They take this story, whatever story, and they say that's the absolute truth. Here I got it. Yeah. And then 10 minutes later, somebody else come up with a new idea. So I'm just saying, like, to be careful of the duality part of saying a black person is more superior than a white person, in the same way that a white person will think it. Because some of those things, like, you know, has put us in slavery for 300 years or whatever long we're in slavery. So some of those same ideas of like saying a white person is superior. So guess what? Then if you say a black person is superior, then you can put a white person in slavery if you if you're thinking that way, because that's what I mean, that is going to equal.
Yeah, but I don't think you can straight up go to white people while they're saying, I'm superior than you. You're like, no, we're one. I don't think that's the way you can go to somebody and straight to the, you can't go straight to 100 with somebody that's just outside of it like that. You have to start, I guess, small, you know? I don't know.
I say when we're one. Yeah. When I say we're one, it's because I see it.
Yeah.
I've seen it. Like, you know, it's not something, I don't say we're one because,
but
like,
if
I hope.
Okay, we experienced it. Yeah. They didn't experience it. So how do we convince them if they got to experience it?
One of the things I had felt in the consciousness, as a one being, you also have what they call one thought. The more of us who are aware of things, who are waking up, it will go to the one thought. That's what I mean. So, controlling the master brain.
Okay.
Is
so now,
like, think about it. Like, right? If you're controlling. Everybody wants control of the master brain, but they're thinking that they can do it individually. You can't control the master brain individually. Let's say this is what they try to do with, like, let's say if there's a big event going on and everybody's thinking the same way. Yeah, when you get everybody to think the same way, then you can direct the energy and so that's controlling the master brain. But another way of controlling the master brain is me as that single cell having my idea. And a powerful single cell will infect the whole damn thing. That's what I'm saying.
Neo.
Yes. Forget about Neo. Smith. That video where the guy was like, Agent Smith was the one, I think was right on the money. Because he was able to infect the whole system.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So controlling the master brain doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be all powerful. I think that's where they would kill off someone like Martin Luther King, someone like Malcolm X, because a single cell like that, whose idea.
Powerful leader.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they need to be a black not to go back into the race.
Sorry, but that one, yeah. White powerful leader. Who they kill?
Okay, are you trying to say there's no white powerful leader, JFK? I don't know.
They said that. Well, that's what they say. I don't know.
But the single cells who are like, I think the only way for them to do it would be like if they can locate the gene that says, here, this person is a direct line to the one. To the
people can do it, huh?
To locate the gene.
Yo, man.
I don't know.
Man, anything's possible now.
To locate the gene that would say, this person is a direct line to the zero.
Yep. I think they can do all of that, yo. I don't want to doubt. I don't doubt anything.
I think that the person who's the direct line to the zero can be any one of us. Mm-hmm. If you wake up. Because we're all direct line to the zero. That's why I had said, if you do have the pyramid, you may not be directly related to 50, but you would be directly related to 1. You have to be directly related to 0, 1.
0, 1, 2.
You see what I'm thinking at if you're looking at the pyramid?
Mm-hmm.
0, 1, 2. And then, I don't know if once you get to person 3, you think you get separation from the 2? Or is there a point when we split into plus and minuses? Would it be once you get to 2, then you split into plus and minuses? But I would say it doesn't matter. You would still always be related to 0.
To 0. Okay.
The only way to destroy anything would be to destroy the primordial waters. And guess what? Destroying the primordial waters is destroying yourself. My thing is like understanding the primordial waters, what it is, what it truly is. What, like, which is saying, like, understanding yourself. You know, that's my thing. And that's what I'm saying. I'm saying for the conscious community to have that conversation.
How do you know they're not having that convo? You don't know.
I haven't heard it. I've been trying to hear it because we still
heard it anywhere.
I've dreamed about the primordial waters. I did hear Brother Freeman talk about it, but when they talk about the primordial waters, because you're using that to go up. That's the water that the Kundalini uses to rise. But it's like we're using it as a channel to channel the energy. It in itself is another power. You know, that's understanding like the mother, what they call the female principle. You know, because I think a lot of times because you're using it to travel up, you're forgetting what it is, the instrument that you're using. Because you just want the traveling, you know. So if you're saying, okay, I'm going up my spine, you're looking for the energy to go up your spine, but you're using that water to go up. So if you have a baby in that water, what's that? Like, that's the connection. That's, to me, like, that's the real us. That whole nonsense fight, black, white, plus, minuses, men, female, we're freaking like one. And I'm sorry, like I keep repeating it because that's where like my connection.
You think the conscious, maybe, I don't know, maybe, damn, I'm not gonna say.
Are we like infected too?
Like we want to, I guess, not we want revenge, but.
Revenge?
Not revenge, but we want that power. Like we want to use
be
that
the
power
powerful,
to benefit us.
I think
before we become one.
We're like revenge, motherfuckers.
Revenge, motherfuckers. Like yeah, like you know what? Maybe like yeah.
But you know, the guy in American Gods, he was so funny, right? When he started laughing at the slaves, because the condition, right? Which is one of the things that I like. I hate my impressions sometimes. That condition of being like the slave thing is also like us. Like we put ourselves there. Do you see? Like that was, and then he made it like it's like the joke's on you. Like, you know, like remember when he was like laughing, oh yeah, this is what the hell's gonna happen to you in the next 300 years, and he's just like laughing at them, and they're looking at him like, what? You know, and my thing is like, what I got was like, this planet is like a passoir, like it's like a filter, and when you go to a filter, it's very small. Like that water that goes to a filter, not every particle can go through, you know. So you need to like get every gunk and gook and stuff out, and for you to pass that filter, there's a lot of shit that needs to come off for you. And it's torture. And that's the slave. I don't know like if I'm making excuses for slavery. I feel like I'm making excuses for slavery. It was okay because we needed to be tortured. I don't want to seem that way. I'm just saying like that's part of the experience of like, because it would be like that same thing when Brother Freeman said, for you to get for the devil to come from down there to up the spine, we call it the devil or the evil woman, you know, or the seductive woman that's in the book of Revelation. It's like, it's hot and searing and it's painful, you know, and so it's not gonna be a cakewalk. And so if you're talking about like doing the traveling, like let's say if you're a cell that's traveling to that energy field from the spinal column in that hot searing water, your experience might show up in the reality as being a slave being tortured. That's what I'm saying. Because don't forget, like if we're saying, okay, this is a dream and this is like, you know, then your experience is going to show up as this very bad thing. But you might be traveling up that spine. That's the thing about like, you know, when you're having the earthly experience, you have to think of it in several levels.
So
not
this
just
is what the earthly. So you're saying there's just different parts of us.
There's different parts of us, yes.
Bad and good. And we have to embrace all of it, or what?
Yes, you have to embrace all of it, yes.
That's the
different experiences that you have, especially the hard ones.
Mm-hmm.
You have to embrace the bug. Like a lot of people, sometimes when they're going through a hard time, they want to forget it.
Yeah.
No.
You have to embrace it.
You have to embrace it. You have to remember it. And you have to be thankful for it. Forget about just embrace it and remember it. But be thankful for it. Because we always want to be thankful for the good times.
Mm-hmm.
Because don't forget, like sometimes like your memory of the bad time is so sharp. You learn so much from it. It's the one that changes you, not the good part. The good part is like, you're relaxing and you're maxing. But when you go into a hard time, that motherfucker, that's the thing that changes you. That's the thing that make you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be thankful for the hard time because it shows you. Appreciate that devil. Don't be afraid of it so that when you see it, you run away from it. Go hug it. Love your enemy. You know what I mean? Love thy enemy. It's easier said. Of course, it's easier said than done. So that's why I don't think many of us make it to this knowledge. That's why many of us don't make it to the knowledge, because it's easier to take the red. Was it the red pill? Which pill?
I don't know.
Whichever one that keeps you in the matrix and like you don't have to know the truth.
This world is easier compared to. I think
the world is not easier.
It's easier to digest this than the reality.
I don't know if it is, because what I'm trying to say. If you don't learn the lessons, you come back.
Mm-hmm.
So for as much as you pray and you think Jesus is going to save you, Jesus is going to be like, motherfucker, you need to learn love. Mm-hmm. Not just that I'm going to save you. You need to love your neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
You have to truly love your neighbor. Not say you're going to love your neighbor so Jesus can save you. You need to truly love your neighbor. That ain't
gonna happen, yo.
Yeah, no,
it's not gonna happen with the world, man.
Which one? The stories. They have a lot of it already. They have a lot of it in the reality, and I see a lot of it, and I say there's a lot of it because that's a lesson people are not getting. The stories about people that repeat the day, like let's say
Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day. They're remaking them all over the place.
Yeah,
where they have
another one.
There's another one. There's two of them coming out.
Yeah.
Where the person relieves a day over and over and over.
Yeah.
This is what happens to us. If you don't but don't forget, at the end of those stories, that person solves every problem.
He solved every problem.
Every problem that he ran into.
God. He knew everything that
happened.
Yeah.
That's
and then that Tom Cruise shit to it.
Which
Tom
one?
Cruise, he kept
on
dying and
dying. The one that
Okay.
So those are all lessons that's still trying to show up in the reality for us to learn, and hints. Hello, motherfuckers, you need to solve these puzzles.
They dumbed it down now. I think they see we're so dumb.
We're so dumb.
They're like, here it is, because we. I really think they dumbed it down from the Matrix to other. They dumbed it down to where we have to They just have to throw it in your face because.
And these motherfuckers still think they're watching TV. So I started trying to do the Tree of Life. This is not the Book of the Dead. It's not. I'm not gonna touch the Egyptian Book of the Dead until I'm ready.
I think you'll be good now, but
you think I'll be good?
Yeah. Ain't nothing's gonna. You already know what's what. So what can the book do to you?
Well,
the book can't do anything to you. You already know what you are, what you're here for. What can the book do to you when you already know?
Look at you.
I'm just saying you, not me. I'm not even gonna look at the front of the book. I'm talking about you. Me, I don't know. I might end up in
you might end up really in the hospital. No, the reason why I say that is Because I think I did read that whole motherfucker. Like, I went through the whole thing.
Did you repeat anything from that book? I remember you there was parts that you just kept repeating. No?
Yeah.
From that book?
Mm-hmm.
It was from that book then?
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck was it? You kept repeating?
I don't know. What did I say?
I don't remember. I just know you kept repeating stuff.
Like repeating the in and out? What?
Nah, not in and out. It's something that you repeated from a book. You just kept... Yeah. The same words I kept saying.
Which means water. Like the different words for like the ancient words I like, you know, the different words for God, the different words for...
But how come they didn't find that book when they were like, that's the book that they like, everybody, Chantal and Mac, they were like, how come nobody know it was that book? Mm-hmm. You're the only one. I'm the only one that know that it was that book that, like, you know.
When I be talking to Mac, I think he don't listen to me. Oh.
That's true. Or maybe that was the book that you know, opened his eyes too or whatever.
I think so too. I don't know. Mac have his secrets, so I don't know. He just be funny. So I don't know what the hell. I think I scared him too.
You scared him when it happened? When it happened?
When it happened.
When it happened?
Yeah, I think so too.
Nigga, you scared everybody. What do you mean you scared him? You scared everybody. You have a missing tooth. This is still recording?
Yeah. Don't worry, I'm gonna move that part. It was very confusing.
If I knew, I'd just regret not recording you downstairs.
I did record myself.
No, you didn't record you didn't record your movements. You didn't record none of that. I'm talking about your movements and all of that. I wonder if there's any examples of people that move like that. I know there is, of course.
Yeah.
Example of people after their experience, after that experience. If I want to know if you're a special case or does this happen to some people?
I think that happens to different people because I heard them, you know, talking about what's his name says that he's the one that said this is why, like, some of you, when you start reading that book or such a shit start happening to you, understand you can read the book. Bobby Hammett.
About that same book or any book?
About that same book.
That same book?
Mm-hmm. He said.
So that book is powerful as fuck.
It's powerful as fuck. And there's even more powerful books.
Damn, I ain't reading that book, man. I'm scared. Shit.
It's even more powerful because what happened, it just triggers the memories. Like, I think this is what I think happened. It says that the ancients, right? The sages, they knew what was going to happen with, like, you know, us going into slavery and us losing our powers. And so they sent us out already.
Who you said?
The sages, like, okay. You know, meaning sages, people who knew, like, that were either higher level and they knew, like, they were able to see the future. Because one of the things that happened is, like, when you go into some of the temples, like, they have the histories, like, they wrote some of the stuff that would, like, they wrote about slavery and what was gonna happen, the new world, everything. Like, if you go into the walls of the, like, some of the, like, not so much Egypt temple, but, like, especially, like, the ones that they found, they even said that that's what the Vietnam War was about.
Yeah,
to destroy that temple of I forgot the name of that temple.
That'd be so crazy.
No, because I saw some other video where they had inside the temple, they were like, the temple was like thousands of years old, but it had the slave ships, it had, like, you know, all of this stuff, like, so that they knew this was, like, gonna be our thing coming up, like, our, like, what would happen to us as a people, meaning the Moors or the black people or whatever. So what the sages did is, like, they basically, like, they sent us out. So you would say, if they send us out, some of us would die, but not all of us would. Like maybe some of us would die and not reproduce, but some of us would reproduce, and then you would still have a descendants. So Haitian people would be those descendants as well as the American, the Black Americans, the African Americans. We would so.
What about Africans?
Yes and no. So some of the Africans, they're talking about like depending on where they're from. Because if you're talking about like some of the Moors, then they would go into Africa. Mm-hmm. And then what they said is like when they went into West Africa, from Egypt, they went into West Africa. And so they went into different villages. Mm-hmm. So when the wars came, some of the village chiefs, when they would be giving up people, we would be the first people that they give up. So that's where you would have us as slaves first, instead of like the Africans, the other Africans. Because like we were not originally part of their tribes. So they would give like, the people who are not their tribes first when the wars came. But it's supposed to be that our stages from our ancestors like knew this was going to happen. So that's why some people believe like we're like the true like Israelites or whatever. That's where you get all those Israelite people. But I say these are still Earth history. You know what I mean? Not still part of like the process of, still the process of like, this is earthly history. So us would still be like people with the knowledge, and the knowledge is still written in your DNA. So coming out of Egypt. So what happened? You still have that because your memories is still written in your DNA. Your memories written in your DNA. So
I got loyalty inside my DNA. Yeah, that's what he's talking about, right?
So one of the things that happen is like if you can connect with those memories, they'll all come out. The fears of slavery, the beatings, the mistreatments, when you're afraid of things, when you're afraid of God, when you're afraid of the devil, all of those are things that block you in your DNA, in reaching those memories in your DNA. Because guess what your brain is going to do? Your brain is always going to try to protect you from things that are scary, that you're afraid of. So if you reach a memory and there's fears that bars those memories, your brain is just going to skip off of that. You're going to forget. You're not going to remember. You're not going to, so that's
the part of embracing.
That's the part of embracing those devils, understanding, like, those fears and not being afraid of those fears. Like, that's one of the things, like, hey, I have guilt, I have fears, like, but I'm stronger than those fears. So when you have somebody going through trauma, so those traumas, the trauma of slavery, the trauma of like, of your childhood, all those things, they're the ones that block your ancestral memories. So yes, it's easy to pray to a God that's outside of yourself than to face the devil.
That's what I said. I said that. I told you it's easier to live in this world and do all of that than really.
But like I said, you still have to.
You have to, but a lot of these people don't want to.
Come right back. Just be coming right back.
I think they're fine with coming back. They're fine with coming back, but
I'm not.
I'm not. I don't know yet. I don't think so either. I guess.
My plan is not to come back.
But when they come back, how do they come back? What knowledge do they have if they don't accept?
So I don't know who was talking about.
There's gotta be people that they know exactly what it is, but they're not gonna face it, and they're fine with coming back. You don't think there's that? You don't think there's that aspect?
I don't know. Let's say if you believe in the myth that the gods sleep for a million years, and then once the god wake up, boom, everybody wakes up. There's that idea.
Yeah, but
it doesn't matter if you're ready or not. Ready or not, here I come. And then the god wakes up. And then when the god wakes up, it wakes up with all the knowledge. That there's no people, there's the god wake up. That's it. Like you wake up with all your memories.
Those other people, they probably don't feel that.
But see, what I'm trying to say is like when you wake up, you're not gonna wake as a million cell.
Mm-hmm. You might wake up.
You're gonna wake up as a single being.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm thinking. Think about like when you wake up from sleep, as above, so below. So it would be the same. Your reflection of what God would be.
I know that. Okay, now what about people that are conscious? What if? Okay, that's one theory, or their theories, or their.
The different consciousness.
Different consciousness. What they.
Most of the African stuff in the walls of the Egypt pyramids and stuff like that, and all different pyramids that were found around the world. Because they found pyramids like underwater. They found a bunch of stuff. You know what they did, right? They took all the stuff and then like they hid them like in the under museums and stuff like that in England.
And do you think they destroyed everything though? Like they destroyed?
I think they're not gonna destroy everything because they want the information. So they're gonna have the information. They just don't make it public. That's what some of the people are saying. Like if you go underground to some of the stuff, those museums, like the Vatican Museum, all that kind of stuff, you'd be like shocked. All of it is like African.
That's what they say. When
we went to St. Peter's Basilica at the Vatican, you're like, oh, you're just sitting there like an idiot going like, oh yeah, it's a black guy. I didn't get it. Now I got it. I'm like, oh, there's a reason why that statue was like dark jet black. It's like, yeah, no motherfucker, like they're worshiping the melanin.
Yeah, they
blatant with worshiping the melanin. It's like, oh, but like you didn't get it because they have the white feature. So you're just thinking, oh, the statue's black. No, it's a black guy because like in a way, like the hair was kinky too. But this is why the knowledge is hidden like right in front of your face and you can't see it.
Right in front of your face, yep.
But I can tell you, when I was at that museum. When that guy, like the professor that was with me, when we were walking and he was talking about the one God, and then he turned us around to show us how the one God was coming from the many, it clicked.
With you?
Something clicked with me. And I was like, because to this day I could still remember that moment. Because for whatever reason, like the whole idea of the many God made sense. Of course the one God came from the many God. And the one God is not a false thing. You know what I mean? Because if you're thinking about yourself, you're one, but all of the aspects of the God is in you, and all of the aspects of the God is represented by different, like saying, okay, this is God, this is God, this is God, this is God. And it's still not trying to say that there's many God, or it's trying to say that there's one God. It's just trying to say aspect of God. But that thing clicked. That's why sometimes when you're having your journey, you have to like let it unfold, because the religious thing did take me to where I needed to be.
It did.
Yeah. I think yes, there's some of us who are more prone to wake up than others. But
we're still the same.
We're still the same. Whatever idiot you see out there, the worst idiot.
Yeah.
That is funny. The worst idiot.
Treat everybody the same.
Because let's say if you believe the idea
that sacrifice shit. That part. That's what.
Oh, you mean like Vegas?
Yeah. That shit is crazy to me.
That is crazy, right? Like when you realize that these people are still worshiping, like the old gods. It's crazy. That's why I got a book of ancient deities.
You got a book at everything. I don't know.
Because it gets crazy like when you start like getting the knowledge, and then you're like, oh my God, like so this more. God. Well, because let's say if you went to the God, to a certain God, because like remember we were discussing Thor. We were discussing Thor.
No, his pops.
Not Thor. His father, which was who?
Eden.
Loki or Loki.
Loki. No, Eden. His father.
Okay, his father, right? And
Odin.
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 Okay,
Eden.
we're discussing Odin, right? And then you're trying to say, okay, who's Odin? Who is it like they're worshiping? Because like if you talk about autumn, and it's that whole idea of like saying, okay, you're worshiping somebody outside of you, and then you make that being a living thing instead of like it being like a representation of what this is supposed to be happening. Because I think Odin's supposed to be like the god of agriculture, and there's different powers that he gets because of that. And then that same god is other gods because of those different powers. You know, so when you go under, I don't know where the book is, but when you go under like certain gods, you'll be like, see this one, like, you know, there'll be like 20 other names that you can look up. So whenever you go to that god, it's still that one god. So that can get pretty like pretty crazy, where you'll be like, oh, okay, like it's still one person again, but in different culture, he's represented in different ways, or just called a different name, but it's still the same powers. So it can get confusing with like 1,000,001 different gods. But it's good to learn them, because then you could see like, okay, this god, this is who he is in the Egyptian mythology, in the Roman mythology, or in the Greek mythology, or in the like, you know, and then you realize, okay, it's the same thing. It's like it's the same god.
It's the same god.
It's the same god.
It's the same god. But,
you know, but like, so in different mythologies, they call the god by a different name.
So this thing, we can give it enough power to where if we all pray to this and worship this, it can be the most powerful thing on earth. That's what, and that's true.
Why are you asking me what's true or false? They say that.
And I'm asking, what do you think? Is it true?
They say that.
But you don't know.
I heard that. I don't know if it's true. I heard that. Are you trying to find something to pray to give power?
No. Why am I gonna do that when I know
that you need to pray to yourself?
I need to pray to myself. Why the fuck I'm not giving nothing?
See, that's the thing. Like, I think once you know that, I think it gives you a certain like strength. That's how I feel. It gives you like, oh, okay, like I don't need somebody else. I don't know.
I get you with that. Yeah. I do.
And then, I mean, the longer I've been doing it, like feeling that way, the stronger I feel about that. You know, and I, in a way, like it's funny, I feel sorry for people who don't understand that and keep giving their power away. You know, it's like, no.
Some people, they just don't have money. Some people, it's just like
really?
But they don't know, man. They weren't educated. That's the thing too. If you're not educated, you're just it's the truth in what they give you. That shit is it's such total opposite. You're never gonna get the truth from how they spend it off.
Oh.
It's not even close.
It's not even close.
It's like it's genius. I'm not gonna lie, yo. I'm not gonna lie, because there's no way you can. These motherfuckers, whoever, I don't know.
Nah, they play that
game. The game of it's a lot to digest, man. Not for nothing. It's a lot to digest when you've been. It's really woke. It's really, that word is really awake, because you're really asleep. You're really asleep to like everything that's out there. Especially if you're busy in life.
Yeah, you're busy.
You're busy doing if you're busy concentrating on the outer world like that. Sometimes it's nearly impossible. Shit like Trump had to be president for us to like a lot of us.
You see that too, right?
He had to.
You see,
if Hillary was president, we would have been in a worse situation. He had to be. He had to be president.
So
and now I see that.
Right?
I'm like,
but
this nigga had to be.
What I think happened is that this particular war that's going on is like on the bigger scale, though. You farted enough. You think I didn't hear?
I meant for you to hear it.
On the bigger scale, though, they're losing.
They're losing. They're losing.
They're losing.
No.
It does like
no. It's okay. They're losing, and this is not for. It's one of their last stands.
Yeah.
They're losing. They're losing. That
because you see like how there's so many things they're throwing at us, like it's one after the other. It's like it's one after they're throwing like everything. And the kitchen sink.
Everything, yeah. I agree with that.
Like look at all the hurricanes. Like it's like
we're not
nuclear war. It's like
we're not
everything. And it's like every week, boom.
Every week, boom. Here's a distraction. Nah.
You know, and I'm just like, no, they're losing.
They have to be to do it the way they're doing it now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That I agree with that. 100%.
I don't know that it's the end of the world. I'm seriously not gonna say that. Like I don't know that. But it's something major. In the book, right, there's an upside down goddess represented. And when I got to her, because they talk about like, you know, saying, okay, you travel the universe and you can, and the blackness that you see would be like the body of the goddess, right? So if you're traveling the body of the goddess, there's a point where, and think about if you're traveling somebody's body, right? You go down and then you have to turn around.
Okay.
In my event, that's the turn that we made. Because it's not a dream. It was like, you know, me going into the body. Mm-hmm. So in it, so if you're traveling, it was like, okay, we're traveling the universe as a unit, as one, and we're traveling the universe, and then you're going down. So think about like being a blood vessel. You're going down, and as you go down, guess what? It's heating up. Like everything is like exploding, and there's like a lot of things going on, and then you make a turn, mm-hmm. And the turn would be like when Trump got elected president. Once you make the turn, now you're heading up. But because we're still down, right? We still would be like located at the feet. You're still in that turmoil of that era.
We're still at the feet.
We're still at the feet. We're still in the turmoil of the era. But we've already changed directions and we're coming up. So now you're going to have a new age and then go up. And the up travel is when you would get to the goddess.
So like...
But once you get to the goddess,
50-50? Yeah, 50-50 is when we're going to reach it. I don't know.
But my thing was like, because I did the whole travel. I did the whole trip. Once you get to the goddess though, and then meet her, some of us stay and some of us leave.
Once we get to the goddess.
Once you get to the goddess.
Mm-hmm.
So
some of us stay.
Some of us stay.
Okay.
But like some of us would stay.
Who stays? Who knows?
I don't know. I don't know who stayed because like it was like, because I remember saying goodbye to her. Because once you get to her, you can tell her like everything, mm-hmm. and all your stories. It would be like, so in our travel, we collect stories. And like I said, you know, like it's a weird situation. It would be like, because don't forget, like I'm also traveling my body. Mm-hmm. So it would be like, onions again, several levels of things. So it would be like you're a blood vessel traveling to your body. You go down, you do travel to your feet, and then come back up, and then you're trying to reach the brain, right? Which would be like your knowledge, which would be like your tree of knowledge. And of course, like once you get to the goddess, it's, you know everything. And you know what, and then there's many reasons to go. One, there's some reasons because you want to bring the knowledge with you. There's some you can't, then you realize that you have to leave the goddess behind because that's where she resides. Mm-hmm. You can't take her with you. Yeah, and there's sadness for that, you know. But you also take her with you. So it's like weird, you know. because she's always there. Like, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of comforting things, like, that happens. But it's bittersweet, and they always talk about that being with the tree, because then what happened is like the tree of life would be your uterus or your sexual organ as a male, and the tree of knowledge would be your brain.
The tree of knowledge would be your brain. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So again, different level, because you still have to bring it back to you. So when we travel the universe, you still traveling your body. So I always say, like, bring it right back into you, because in a way, like, I didn't go off to space because I went in instead. Mm-hmm. So when I traveled inside of my body as a blood cell, but again, in out, the representation of what's outside. So when so the whole idea of making the turn, but with the turn, and I'm so adamant about this, with the turn, we get a new sun. The sun changes. The sun changes.
I was trying to look at the sun today, and I'm like, still a little.
Still yellow.
And I'm like, okay. You said you can't look at the sun anymore.
I can.
You can?
I can.
Oh, I can't. So, okay. I kept looking. I'm like, it's just super, it's crazy bright today. But okay.
It gets to be bright. I'm just saying, like, color-wise. So, what do you see it? Because Mac was saying, like, some people would still see it a yellow.
I don't see it as yellow. I don't know. It just looked super bright, and it didn't look. It wasn't straight white. It was. I don't know. I think it was. I still see yellow though. I think.
Yeah. I don't know if that's significant, but I was very adamant about that, of it being new. Don't forget, the sun also travels the universe. So it's like we're not stationary at all.
That's true.
Once you get to the tree of knowledge, right, and then you head down again. So this trip would still, the same thing would happen again once we get back to the feet again, because we'd be losing some of the knowledge that you got from the tree of knowledge once you head down there. And this is what happened. So every time we make the trip, we're trying to retain as much of the knowledge as possible. Mm-hmm. Because what's supposed to happen is, like, let's say you get to the feet, you come up, and as you come up, you learn all these wonderful new things. And once you get to the tree of knowledge, your knowledge is at its maximum.
That's at its maximum. Okay.
And then once you go back down, then you start, you would still have great knowledge, but you would, by the time you get down again, you would lose a lot of it, and then so on. So we're still making that same trip over and over and over and over. And what I'm saying is the key is to get out once you get to the goddess. So you would get out from the tree of knowledge.
Okay.
Once you hit the crown chakra at the tree of knowledge, you want to get out from there instead of making the trip back down. I'm imagining it because I made the trip, but I don't know if you're imagining what I'm trying. So imagine like your blood vessel going through your body. Mm-hmm. So your graduation would be, if you start at the tree of knowledge, which would be your brain, you would be going down to all the different systems, your heart, your whatever, and then all the way through your whole body, and then you would come back up again, make that same trip up, and then go back to your brain. But the key is, like, once you get to your brain, is not to turn around back to go back down again, but to, like, go back out. Mm-hmm. Then you would remain with the goddess.
Okay.
Instead of, like, going.
So when you remain with the goddess,
I don't know. Like, I left. I went back down.
So you stay with the goddess, but
I didn't stay with the goddess. I said
no,
goodbye.
No, but I'm saying you stay with the people who stay with the goddess. That's it.
The people who stay with the goddess?
Yeah.
I don't know. Remember, I came back. I told you I came back.
Yeah, you did say you came back. But you said it felt so good to be with the
goddess.
It
felt so good to be with the goddess. But I did come back, so I don't know like what it would be like to live with her. But the thing is this about what it would be like to live with her. She looked crazy. I don't know.
You don't have a clue. Like
I don't know. Like I think half of it is your imagination. What do you think she would look like? You know.
Is it just the aura?
A lot of it was aura. A lot of it was like. I think I got the impression of, because I was looking at that picture in Mac's room, I got that impression more of the purple.
The third eye?
Yeah, with the third eye, the purple. I got the whole white, purple light thing. You know? But you are never really separated from the goddess. You know, that was one of the things. It's like, you know, you're thinking knowledge is lost. It's not. It's still as close and as far as you make it. And that was what she was trying to tell me when I was leaving, because I was thinking I had to choose. Like, that was the thing. It's like you're thinking like you have to choose to stay here, to be with the ones you love, or her. There's no choice. It doesn't, like, she's always there anyway. And the ones you love would always be there anyway. And that's the fear. That's breaching that fear.
Breaching that fear. You came back for Bradley, though.
I came, yeah, because of the fear. Because you're thinking, oh, if I leave, then I would lose everything. Going back and thinking about it and like further, it's like you realize that no, if anything, all the love is there. Like, you know, so you would never really lose anything. And that's the bittersweetness of it, because some things, like, she can't tell you.
You have to figure out.
Like, you have to figure out on your own. And I say she, I understand. I don't want to say she, but, you know.
How do you know?
That's what I mean. Like, I say she because, you know, like, I don't want to say, like, she's a she, but...
It seems like it's a she, from what you say. It's a she, right?
I mean, you know, when something is everything, how can you say it's a she?
Yeah, but from what you imagine...
From what I imagine, I imagine her being a she, but it's more than that. It's like... Because it's not a female, it's like a feeling. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Notice how the word play. There's a lot of that in the language. The word plays. You know, sometimes you have to pay attention to them. It's more of a like they always call it the female aspect or the female energy, and then we all have it, not just people who are born female, but you know, male have it as well. Now I'm more confident, because like when you first get into the knowledge, it's like it's scary because you're not sure, like, you know, there's a lot of fear. But now, like, you know, when you know more, you become more confident with it instead of like being afraid.
Is this the first step, yo? Is this? Damn, I wanna. People that jump in the way you do, yo. I wanna know if this is the way they have.
Do they have to?
Like my journey, am I gonna go that way?
No.
Like, huh?
No.
Why not?
I don't, because I don't.
It's like, nah, nigga, you going back down.
You going back down. So like when they talk about underworld and upper world, you're literally talking about the different parts of your body.
Your feet's the underworld, or like your butt,
Yeah, like whenever you're talking about below your belly button.
Below your belly button.
Yeah, then you talk about underworld.
It's like where.
Well, it's not like, but that's not. That's the thing that's about what they say. Evil.
Or like the devil. That's what they.
The devil, but the thing about evil is not the devil and evil. It's like, think of it don't think of it in terms of good and bad. Just think of it like in terms of like more of the opposite, which would be, let's say, cool and hot. Mm-hmm. You know. So, but guess what? Both burns. Like when something like both burns, like, you know. So none of the elements are like totally evil or totally good. You can use fire for good and you can use water for bad. Think about how destructive water is.
Yeah.
Like we always think of you've seen it, but you always think of water because you drink it. You always think of water as something that's calm when it's not. We always think of fire as something that's raging, but it heals. What I like about this book is like it compares it tells you about like the different myths, like what happens in the stories, and then you'll see like how similar they are. And funny enough about myths, they're really good storytelling because it's always like about war, jealousy, love, infighting, incest, all the good stuff.
Comic books are like that too, yo.
The anime is like always pretty good.
Every story, I guess, man. Anime, but yeah, comic books. This is a guy I follow on YouTube. He breaks down a lot of comic books. I don't know, a lot of that shit is similar.
Yeah, but then, like, does he talk about like taking it to yourself? Does he do?
He does that.
He does that.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, I'll send you.
Because that's one of the things that the component I was missing, like for me, when because I was always interested in a lot of the stories, but then you never think about it in terms of like involving yourself in it, because you're always thinking, oh, like that hero has nothing to do with me. It's like a fantasy, and not realizing, no, wait a minute, I could just take it.
I think after that, then he'll be more receptive.
It's a dream.
No, that's not. Like, you can't approach everybody like that. There's no way. You can't approach everybody. Some people will be like, "You crazy bitch, get the fuck out my face." If it wasn't for this, like us getting woke, now a lot of stuff are more believable. But back in the day, we dismissed all this shit.
This shit with this
back in the day, you crazy bitch, get out my face. Yeah, like
it was so funny, right? So I remember vividly, like Melissa, like one of my cousins. She had a whole spiel on Facebook about how this I don't know if it's an Israelite like woman was like, I guess, preaching on the street, and it's like and then she took it personally, but she didn't realize.
If you take it personally,
she took it personally, and so
what she say?
Because she said like to the fact that like, hey, she's out there minding her own business, she's working with her daughter. And the Israelite woman's like, talking about how the child is being like educated, like in school, and like she's not worried, like she's letting the society raise the child and stuff like that. So if somebody's preaching, you walk and mind your own business. Let the person preach.
Why are you offended?
Why are you offended? Because she got like.
If you're offended, that means you're guilty of that shit. If you're offended, that means you're it.
Yep.
That means you're it. That's all that shit means.
And that's what I said to her.
If you're offended, that means that's who you are.
That's what I said. Sorry, me.
Nothing should offend you, nigga. If it offends you, that's who you are. I said to her,
I was like, because that's what I said. I was like, she was talking to you, and you heard her.
Yeah.
Because like. If somebody's preaching and it hurts you like so much that you gotta take a whole page on Facebook to write,
and your ass, you entertaining all these niggas. What the internet of God, the God internet, they gonna come after your ass because the Facebook God or whatever, your ass don't want to let these motherfuckers. Your ass giving bad power to Facebook, boy.
But no, what I'm trying to say, like, and my thing is like, the woman got to her. She was so mad that she had to be like, well, I was raised by a single mother, and that my mother works hard and da 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 da. I'm like, everybody knows who your mom is and what she been through. You don't need to explain anything to anybody. And if you need to explain anything to anybody, that means that whatever she said got to you. And I said she was talking to you. You have to listen.
What she said?
Then she got mad at me.
So they gonna get at your ass.
Yeah, she got mad at me. And then I knew that they probably really did get to her. Because, like, it was guilty. All anger. It was all anger and guilt. And, because, like, sometimes when something affects you and you respond with anger and you have to explain yourself and you need to make yourself feel better and you need people to be praising you, I mean, that shit cut her to the core. You feel guilty. And, sometimes most people don't deal with that. That's the hell. That's the devil. Not, like a man with horns.
Actually, this what's the Lucifer? I'm like Lucifer. They have a show named Lucifer.
Yeah. You know
why they got the motherfucker with an angel? I'm like, so they slowly.
Because the thing is this: when they changed the Bible,
but I just did.
They changed the Bible because in a lot of the translation, when they translated, they changed a lot of places where they were supposed to be Lucifer. They changed the name to Jesus, because so that people won't get the fact that Lucifer is Jesus and Jesus is Lucifer. Again, two sides of the same coin, and people are only like looking at the one side and like going Jesus, Jesus, Jesus.
So there's definitely okay then. So then there's definitely no heaven or hell then.
This is it.
This is it. This is heaven.
We're in heaven and hell. Okay. Judgment is every minute of every second of every day. This is where you need to learn. This is the pressure cooker. This is it. Because I think people are looking for the better, not realizing they're in it. You can make this hell, you can make this heaven. You need to learn how to do it both, actually. Sometimes you come here just to do the hell. That might be the lesson.
Hopefully I'm here just for the heaven.
Just for the heaven?
Probably not. Right. Probably not.
In a lifetime, sometimes you go through both several times.
Nobody goes through heaven like that. I don't think so.
Heaven is, I think.
Nobody has a. Well, I mean,
nobody
has an easy life.
That's true. But the moments
are what make you, right?
Yeah. Heaven is in the moment and hell is in the moment as well. I think we let in the hell. Like when we're in hell, we make it so long.
Hell is just a moment.
But it's still a moment as well.
Mm-hmm. That shit sounds like my shit though, yo. I'm trying to compare every time. I'm like, yo.
I'm not gonna say my sounds are more pure. I'm not. I'm just.
Well, if you said it, you meant it, asshole.
I'm not going to say.
So you think you better than
I'm taking.
So you think you?
I'm judging. I'm judging.
Oh no, this is totally different. I lost that one. Forget it.
Mine's are like exact, 550 hertz.
So while I'm meditating, it's not relaxing. It should be a struggle.
No, that's not what I'm trying to say.
I'm like, yo.
No. What
the fuck you mean? I'm like, yo.
Stop over that.
How the fuck am I gonna meditate?
Stop over at meditation. Sorry if I'm confusing you. Sorry, I don't want to confuse you. Meditation is this, right? You can concentrate on different part of your body. Let's say if you say, okay, I'm gonna meditate on my your chakra.
That's okay. Go ahead.
So the different points, the 7 chakras. So what you're looking for is the main, or there's different. You have like I think 120 chakra points, but let's concentrate on the main ones, which you talk about: the brain, the heart, the throat, the lungs, and so on. And then of course your sexual organ. The thing with doing your the sexual organ chakra, like with the red one, the grounding, is because if you make that strong, then you can carry everything else.
Remember, grounding, and that's your feet?
No, your sexual organ. Like, don't forget, like the sexual organ is huge. It's as important as the brain. To me, not to because they always talk about you have 2 brains.
Yeah.
This is where life comes from, so don't discount it. Like, it's very powerful. This is where the root, your base chakra, right? So and then that's the one they call the red, and it red of course because it's gonna be associated with sex, like sexy or whatever. And when I was listening to 7, he talks about you can stay on your root chakra for 6 months, or you could just, because like once you make that solid, it will be easier for you to travel the other ones, because like you really want your root chakra to be like, so you can basically, like, as you're meditating, you're concentrating on that, you're thinking like of a red, you can think of just the red color. You don't have to think of any shape, because like one of the things about the Freeman says, like, you don't want to be like thinking of like, this is what my seal. They used to call it the 7 seals instead of chakra, and that's actually what the Book of Revelation talks about, like your 7 seals. So if you're concentrating on your root chakra, you just think of the color red. You're thinking of your sexual organ, which would be like, the woman would be the womb, men, but like basically like your sexual organ, and that's it. And then you're breathing, and my thing is like with every breath, what I do is like when I breathe, you close your eyes. When you breathe, you go down with the breath, and then of course the correct way to breathe is to make your stomach a balloon. When you breathe in, you blow the balloon. When you breathe out, you deflate the balloon. And that's all you're thinking of, nothing else. Color red, breathe in, breathe out, make your stomach. You don't have to think, am I doing this right? Am I thinking? No. That's it. And then it will just like come naturally. You can try to do 100 breaths without thinking of anything else. If you see your mind wandering, just start over again. If you do 20 today, great. If you do 10 tomorrow, great, until you can get to 100. And that's the practice. And then continue. So you don't have to make it like a hard thing on yourself. The reason why you don't want to think about like what your chakra what the seal look like, because you want to get familiar with your seal. Okay? Because as each person's vibration is different. So you don't want to be like, okay, this is what the chakra is supposed to look like. And then once you get to yours, you don't recognize it because it doesn't look like what the picture looked like. So what I say, you can think of the color red. Think of like your sexual organ, I'm a woman, so I know it's the womb for a woman. Basically, that's it. Breathe. The whole idea is to breathe, blow the balloon, and you can always put your hand on your stomach, make sure it's inflating, deflating. I
feel like, okay, this is going to be weird. This is going to get weird. But after I meditate, I'm like, yo, if I beat off, I just feel guilty.
No! First of all, okay, no. Again, the devil.
That's the devil.
That's the devil.
That's the devil, right?
There's nothing wrong. Like, we love worshiping the God, but, want to go away the devil. No, it's the same coin. Don't worry about what's wrong or right. Do what you feel is right for you.
Like, yo, it's for me.
No, it's for you. That's it. Like, but the thing is, like, you may need that energy.
I know.
You need that energy. Hello? So this time I got my tape out.
Yeah, but what if you don't get no good stuff?
I know. I might not.
Now you out of good stuff.
Now I'm out of good stuff, right?
Jackass.
Like, no, but that's exactly what happens, right?
Your whole face.
That's exactly what happened.
Nah.
Now that I'm on tape, all of my all of my thing is gone, right?
Yeah, the devil part. Okay. The devil inside you.
See,
okay, go ahead.
My understanding is that when people talk about evil or the devil, they think it's like somebody that's outside of them. It's the same thing like when they talk about God or Jesus. They think it's somebody that's outside of them. Mm-hmm. And what happens with